Hello, marry me. So, first let me say that I do not intend to insult anyone with this video. Uh, and I definitely do not think that the image of the goddess I am presenting here is the only image that she has. She has multitudes. The point with this video is basically talking about how I can fit being Gorean together with being a Wiccanish pagan. And the reason I'm making this video is that I know that there's a lot of people who are in my situation who are Gorean and wonder how they're going to fit their faiths as Wiccans, as neo-pagans, and so on in with the concepts and philosophy of God. So, while I definitely don't think that the idea of the goddess in a more feminist sense is wrong by all means. There are a lot of stories of very strong, very powerful goddesses who are leaders and warriors and so on. And I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's also a lot of archetypes of the goddess as submissive, as the nurturer, and that basically paradigm is what I'm talking about. Not to say that is a better paradigm, but to show that it's possible to be both Gorean and Wiccan. So, yeah, when as soon as that disclaimer is out of the way, let me start. Basically, if you look at it, Wicca, and when I say Wicca here, I also think about basically pagan faiths inspired by Wicca. It's very dualistic. It's a goddess and a god, light, dark, masculine, feminine, and so on. And what we see when we look at the archetypes is that the god is active. The god is the is aggressive. The god is the horned hunter of the sun. He is the blazing sun god, while the goddess is the mother earth. She's the nurturing, uh, all-loving mother. And we can also see this in the typical masculine and feminine elements. For example, fire is a masculine element. It's very active, it's powerful, it's forceful, it creates heat, it, it's vital for human development, and it can be massively destructive. Water is a typically female element. It can also be massively destructive, but it's deep, it's mysterious, it's nurturing in that water where life began. And it's a very emotional element. Air is a masculine element, and it's very sharp. It stands for the sharpness of thought, uh, firmness of purpose. It is the blade. While earth is a female element, it's soft, nurturing, and so on. And when we look at not all but very many gods and goddesses, the gods are warriors. They are the leaders. They are, and so on, while the goddesses are nurturing. They are homemakers. If I just can go a little bit off topic on that, I think that very often the problem when we bring up this idea that there is a difference between the genders is that immediately brings to the idea that the feminine is less worth. Because really in the Abrahamic traditions, not so much in Islam, if you look at the Quran, but definitely in the Bible, the feminine is seen as less worth. It's not just the idea that the masculine and feminine are different, but the idea that the feminine ideas are less worth. And that is very much still a part of society. And really, when you look at it, if you look at feminist ideas, they still have that idea. I mean, I was discussing with a feminist head not too long ago, and I told her, well, I said, to me, you are misogynistic. And she, of course, was reeling back and said, how could I possibly say something like that? And I said, you protest women being homemakers and mothers. You detest women having traditionally female roles. And you basically detest the typically feminine. You want women to have male traits. And while you also want males to have some female traits, it's not really an even mix there. I mean, if we look at the Gorean philosophy, and just ignore a few of those misogynists that are just afraid of women that run around and bash their chest and say, "Oh, guy, I have a penis, worship me." Just ignore them. But look at those that really understand the philosophy. They don't view women as less worth. Because here's the point. Equality means the same. I mean, in math you say 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's the same as. And that's really what equality is. Having equality between men and women means men and women are the same. And from a typical Gorean point of view, men and women aren't the same. We are different. But here's the point. Goreans generally don't think women are less worth. Goreans tend to think that you need both the masculine and the feminine, and that both the masculine and the feminine should be celebrated for what it is. So I'm not saying this is the point of view that everybody should have and so on, but I'm saying that as a pagan Gorean, you can easily honor the divine feminine without basically turning it into something masculine. Basically, I might be saying this wrong, but here's the point. If you look at the goddess and god, it's the same as yin and yang. And what is yang? Yang is the masculine, it's the active, it's the active agent, if you want. While yin is the passive, the calm. And now I don't believe that all women are this way and all men are that way. However, the majority of women are more nurturing, more calm, and more passive than men. And more men are more active, more aggressive. They are more of the doers. And what I mean is that there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't any need for us all to be exactly the same. So yeah, a few more examples for it. One thing that when I was starting to learn paganism, uh, I had this meditation exercise about seeing the goddess and the god in everything around me. And and basically, some of the images was, for example, the goddess is a fertile field, and the god is the flow that prepares it. The goddess is the calm, beautiful forest, while the god is the storm that spreads the seeds of the various plants and let the forest grow. basically the masculine has always been seen as the active element and the feminine as the passive element. It's like with electricity, you need to have positive and negative charge or there won't be any electricity. So really, when you look at it, this concept of the masculine and the feminine are everywhere in nature. I mean, look at this, my phone. Without those concepts of basically a passive element and an active element, this wouldn't work. Your computer wouldn't work. The heating in your home wouldn't work. So, yeah, and it's definitely possible to view the divine in many different ways. However, as many think that many link Wicca with feminism, and there's nothing wrong with that. But and therefore a lot of people who are Gorean feel that I cannot be Wiccan, that it doesn't fit. But really, when you look at the philosophy at the heart of Wicca, what it celebrates is the masculine and the feminine element and the wonders that this union creates. And really, when you look at the Gore books, that's also what the Gore books celebrate. The masculine and the feminine and the union between them. So, yeah, and if you look at a lot of goddesses, they are very often the wives of the gods. They are the homemakers, they are the mothers of the gods. And take some Norse gods. You have Thor. He's strong, he's powerful, he's a war god. He has his hammer, he creates lightning, and he goes down into the underworld and he fights monsters and all of that. His wife is a beautiful homemaker with long magical hair. Or take Odin. He's a sorcerer, a powerful sorcerer, a leader, a patriarch. And his wife is also a loving, kind homemaker who protects women and homes. And Freya, who is a very important figure in Norse mythology, she's a sorceress as well. She's a healer. She's a goddess of nature and a goddess of love. And yes, you have gods that doesn't, or you have gods that are not very forceful in that way. Frigg, no, Frey. I mean, my head goes. Freya's brother, who is also a nature deity. He is more calm and so on than the other gods, but even there, he's a lot more forcefully presented than his sister. And basically, of course, you have things that goes against this. You have the Valkyries, who are female warrior spirits. But you can see that they are the exception. If you look at all mythology, you find warrior goddesses. And you find nurturing gods. But the general theme is the goddess as the mother, the nurturer, the passive, the field on which creation is created, and the god as the creator that uses that field to create. And I mean, sure, you have some other stories. You have, for example, with Isis. She has to save Osiris because Osiris gets killed and chopped into pieces, and she has to piece him back together. So she saves her mate. So I don't mean that it's always that the goddess is the passive element, but I'm saying that the typical female energy is calming, loving, uh, fruitful. What's the English word? Fertile, fertile. She's the fertile earth, and the sun is then the god is then the blazing sun that allow life to be created upon that fertile earth. And I mean, even some of the more typical warrior goddesses, like for example Artemis, still has a very feminine energy about her. And I think this is what I mean. I'm not here trying to preach that this is how you should view the goddess and the god from a Wiccan standpoint. But I'm saying that you can honor the divine masculine and divine feminine, even if you feel that the feminine should be submissive to the masculine. And really, if you look at nature, that is how it usually are. And what is a better way to see the energies of the gods than in their creation? In almost all mammals, not all, like for example elephants is an exception, but in almost all mammals, and as far as I know in all primates, the male is dominant. The male is bigger, the male is more forceful, the male is the doer, the male is the leader and the protector. And the females are the nurturers. They are the protected. They are the cherished. They are the ones that is the canvas of life. And that's another image you can use for the goddess and the god. The goddess is the canvas, and the god the painter that paints upon that canvas. Both are needed. And I think that is where I mean I am very it's very important to me that the feminine are not ignored. And I think that a lot of patriarchal societies have downplayed the importance of the feminine. It's only the masculine that's important. I mean, you can look at all records, you can see that I mention the names of sons but not daughters. Daughters, fuck the daughters. And I think that's wrong. But viewing the feminine as submissive to the masculine is not downplaying the importance of the feminine, nor is it saying that the feminine is less worth, because submissive does not mean less worth. So, yeah, if you look at how we are made, human females are made to carry children that weakens us for a while, so we need protection. We are physically smaller and weaker than our men. And basically, from all times, if a tribe lost a female, I mean, that was a disaster. Because, I mean, the bottleneck of population is with the females, not the men. The men were disposable, actually, because one male and a lot of females can still continue the tribe. But one female and a lot of males, no, that tribe is gonna die out. So, really, the men were the leaders, they were the hunters, they were the warriors, because they needed to protect their females. The females were the nurturers, they took care of the children, they took care of the camp, they tended the wounded, and so on. And the men risked their lives to slay the mammoths and bring home the bacon, because they couldn't risk their females. And we are sort of built for that. The females are to be the cherished, the protected, the passive element, and the male, the strong, the leaders, the active element. But that doesn't mean that the masculine is more worth. I mean, when you look at the electricity, is the positive charges more worth than the negative ones? And that is actually one thing that annoys me with feminism. I am all for first and second wave feminism. I'm all for equality before the law, uh, votes for women, and all sort of things like that, because we need that to have some justice in society. But a lot of feminists today, they scream, "Oh, it's horrible! Look at this computer game. The woman is kidnapped and has to be saved." Or, "How horrible! Look here, the woman is a housewife." Piff. The point is, what they are piffing is typical female qualities and then valuing that below male. And I mean, it was like this. There was an article that I found astonishing. It was about toys. They were so angry that little girls tended to choose to play with dolls. There were toy home appliances like toy vacuum cleaners and toy um, stoves and the like, and the girls tended to favor those over toy swords, toy cars, and so on. But what's the problem? These are typical female traits. Why is it wrong that a girl exhibits typically female traits? Why is she then seen as less? I mean, that's misogyny. That's saying female traits are less worse. So we have to force society to basically accept women as males. And I mean, if that's what you mean, I have no problem with that, but I'm getting off track. My point is this: celebrating the typically traditionally feminine is not against the concept of Wicca. And I mean, I'm gonna give you a book recommendation that I think uh, all Goreans who are also Wiccans should read. This is a fantasy series. It's called The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Now, this is why you want to read it, not just because it's an amazing series. Look at they have a magic system there that's a pure energy system, and the males use one side of it, and the females use another side of it, and just read about how the men experience their side of the magic and the women experience their side of the magic. I mean, reading those books really helped me define how I see the goddess and the god. And I think you'll get it when you read it, because then the male side is very aggressive. It's described as a fiery torrent, and the men have to dominate their magic, or their magic just sweeps them away. It has to say, "No, magic, you are gonna fucking do what I tell you, or I'll wring your magical little neck." While the women, they submit to their magic. Their magic is described as a calm but powerful river, and they have to submit to it. Just embrace it and give up control, because when they do that, then they can direct and lead the magic. And just read those descriptions, and I think that can be very helpful in basically developing an idea of the goddess and the god. The goddess is the calm, submissive, but powerful, beautiful, nurturing, valuable, amazing deity. And the god is the violent, the powerful, the protector, the wild, active, amazing element. So yeah, but I have been babbling for quite some time. My point is just, if you are pagan and Gorean, don't let that dissuade you, because while you can definitely view Wicca from a feminist point of view, you can also easily have a more traditional female, more traditional idea on femininity and masculinity, and be Wiccan. look at this. I mean, look at the inspirations for modern day paganism. It's many of the same societies that inspired the Gorean books. How can they then not fit together? So yeah, before I babble any more and bore you all to death, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Oh yeah, I'm going to go on vacation to my mother's, and she has a very shitty internet connection, so I might not be able to upload a video for a week or two. But if I can't upload anything before then, I might make some videos and then just upload them as soon as I get home. But anyway, I'll see you in a week or two. Have a great day and blessed be.